we work for you. And so, again, that's a key part of the process, that all along the way, we don't want to sort of muddy those waters or have anybody concerned that we're not going to be your advocate for good planning and what you believe is good planning is the whole doing this plans.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Anybody from the public have questions? Supervisor.
Thank you. So my name is Chuck Laddick. I did write down a couple questions, and if that's okay with the chairman and the planning commission, I did want to go ahead and ask them. Both Chuck and Linda actually brought up questions that I wanted to add on to. So you mentioned a steering committee as well as task forces. In your thought process, what would the appropriate number be for a steering committee as well as for these individual task forces, not residents?
So I guess I see, first of all, it's usually one or the other in terms of the group that Julie would be working with, developing the comprehensive plan. That we review word for word all the drafts. And it's either the planning commission or a steering committee. Now, often that steering committee then would be made up of representatives from the planning commission and whoever else the board of supervisors wanted to include on that steering committee. 8 to 12 is probably sort of the general range. It just, you need for everybody to get adequate input and to make sure that you don't sort of get unwieldy interests.
Sure.
That tends to be the best number.
And different municipalities do it different ways, and we'll get some input from the planning commission in terms of which planning commissioners are going to end up sitting on it, as well as the board of supervisors providing a few names as well. You're seeing that as traditionally the same thing happening with different municipalities, or do they do it differently?
So again, that first decision point is whether the board of supervisors just want to assign it to the planning commission, sort of as envisioned by the municipality's planning code, or if they want to do a separate steering committee. And then it's typically the board of supervisors, I guess, whoever they get input from along the way, will make that decision on who those steering committee members are. Upper Gwinnett, I guess, asked for applications from the community.
Okay.
Upper Marion just used a formula. They wanted 3 from the Planning Commission, 2 from the Parks Board, 1 from the EAC, 1 from the Police and Fire Committee, and they had a 9-member committee made up of representatives from the various community boards.
Okay.
And so there's just different ways to do it. Again, it depends on the Board of Supervisors and sort of what interests they want to see defining what the plan says.
There's no reason to reinvent the wheel, so might as well get this kind of stuff now and hear exactly what other people are doing, so I appreciate that. Talking about public input, that's really important to me. I really want to see the public being able to provide any type of input that they feel is important. And Linda, you were asking a few questions on that as well as Chuck. So question for you, the industry that I work in, we do some public opinion polling ourselves, but I want to get a feeling from you what you think would be appropriate. We talk about reaching out to the community via newsletter, word of mouth, what have you, sending out a mailer, perhaps with a sewer bill, whatever it might be. What are your thoughts on doing doing a phone survey, calling out all the residents and giving them the opportunity via phone call to participate in a survey?
So I would have no objection to that at all. We haven't done it in the past because of either it's a cost, to hire a company to do that. If that's something that the community wants to budget for, then yeah, the more information and the more detailed information you can get, the better. Okay. And then it's also, if we didn't want to hire a firm, that's not an expertise that we really have that sort of, I'd feel comfortable assigning 10 planners to start making phone calls and how to handle those. So it's really more of a budgetary issue in the past with other communities. But yeah, I don't see how the more information the better.
And just, as a full public notice, I've mentioned in the past that we've done that, and I think we could apply for funding to be able to do that for free for the township. So if there's interest from the planning commission, I won't act unless there is interest from the planning commission for me to pursue that further. But I think that might be something that if they have interest, we can discuss that.
So you were thinking about doing the phone?
If the planning commission thinks that's appropriate, I want to provide all possible options to you guys.
Right.
If you think it's more appropriate to do something via mail, that's fine by me. But if you wanted to consider the phone option, I could certainly make that available as a potential option as well.
And I would see that being probably very similar to what the written survey would be, but it would be a little bit more interactive.
Well, in fact, I'd rather you just give us the questions. That would be easier. And again, who needs to reinvent the wheel? Right? If you have good questions, and if the planning commission wanted to add some other questions on top of that, I think that's at your purview.
Right. I think the key with the survey too, and then I've been saying for a phone survey, is there are embedded, for lack of a better term, demographic questions. And again, I don't know, people's comfort level with saying those on the phone versus, circling a dot on a survey. But we would like to know, obviously your age, whether you have kids in the household under 10, under 18, because then it's really cool, the survey stuff. You can really dig down, look at everybody, aged 55 to 60 who has a child under 10. What was their response to the need for parks in their neighborhood versus, just somebody who's 65 and over who lives by themselves. And so you can really dig down and identify some trends based on their specific community or part of their community. And so that'd be the same thing with the phone surveys to sort of get those demographic information as well.
Appreciate it, Eric. Thank you very much for allowing me to ask questions.
I know when we did our open space plan in 2006, about the time we did it.
I think it was 2006 or 7.
Yeah, we did have a larger contingent of planning commission. I remember, the names we talked about the other day.
Yeah, we have to go with people. I think the county had to define open space community.
Right. Right, John was on it, and so was Bill McGovern. And then Fern was I was our secretary.
The rain was on it.
The rain was there. So yeah, we did have it. It was bigger for a different group than just the planning commission. I remember it was about 8 or 9 people who sort of consistently met. And we didn't have any public workshops. It was a public meeting, but we didn't have any public workshops. I think we were focused on getting the plan done so we could try to get some money from it. Right?
And honestly, too, this is something that's really evolved over the last 5 to 10 years. We always had a public meeting somewhere in the process, typically at the end. But I think there's just been so much more interest in the last 5 to 10 years to really earnestly trying to get public input. I feel like 20, 30 years ago, you did it, you had to do it, sort of went through the motions maybe. But I think that it's maybe again, it's just the types of communities and maybe just people have changed. But I think people really want to hear what the rest of the community has to say on all these issues. Make sure that the plan reflects the values of the community, not just maybe those of a small community.
Just to return to the first question that Chuck had asked, so I'm understanding you to say that you don't see any problem whatsoever with a hybrid approach to forming our task forces, steering committees. So if you wanted to take, for instance, the Planning Commission, allow them to sort of spearhead this thing, but yet at the same time as we progress into it, develop our task force using more public participants, that kind of solution is very practical and doable. Is that what you were suggesting in your answer?
I think in general, you can make anything work. And I think the more educated and expertise that you can bring to a process, the better. It just has to, I think, be well defined from the beginning. It's not something that you sort of necessarily want to sort of be running ad hoc throughout the process. And maybe we'll just add this person here and add this person here. And no, let's look at. And so I think as long as it's again like Upper Winton is doing it, but they know that universe of 30 from the start. This 12 is going to assign this 8 to this 9 to this. And that process is set up and clearly established at the beginning. And then you can set up how they communicate as you move forward. I just think you have to be clear from the beginning what those subcommittees might be, define their roles clearly at the start, then try and make it up as you go along. That's just the plan.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Eric.
But I think it is an exciting time for a lot of communities, but I think, for Law Frederick, this is a time to start thinking about these issues and again, some of the challenges that we've been facing and growth pressure is really starting to build across the county again. And that was in the early 2000s what precipitated a lot of communities, including, I imagine, Law Frederick, to get involved in to sort of be able to be buffered a little bit from some of that growth pressure and protect yourself from the types of growth you might see. And I think that this is again starting to reach that time frame where you want to ask yourselves exactly what we want to be and how we want to respond to that. Because I think that's the key. You want to be able to respond to it in a way you've thought about it and not react to it because it came in tomorrow and you haven't thought about it before and you're just reacting to things because that's not the way you get the best results.
Yeah, I think we're all acutely aware of the growth pressure. Just to put it mildly.
And it's how you manage that. Again, you don't have to get run over by it. You don't even have to accept it. Again, that's the benefit of regional planning. You do have a lot of power over what you can accept and what you want to accept and how you want to look.
Yeah, I mean, our third agenda item tonight is the discussion of the developer with the Big New Hanover project as a project in this township that he's proposed some alternate concepts. We would require changes to zoning and some other things. We're looking at
And those are always bad. Again, it just depends on what we want, and that the only problem with that is now you're reacting to something, and hopefully 18 months from now you have a much better response for what they're proposing and how they're thinking.
Well, I mean, in the good side, we've been through this process a couple of times over the years. Many of us have been on this commission long enough to running in the squirrel cage and seeing these things go round and round. So it's not like we haven't thought about it or know what the downsides to some of the options are.
Or how to leverage them and make them into a real nanny for the community too.
Right.
So again, I'm not trying to downplay or bash growth and development. It's just some communities want to more than others, and some want it to look differently than others. And that's again for you to decide.
Yeah, I think it's to look differently, part perhaps. People have a right to do what they're going to do.
Everything is doing something.
Right.
They have a right to do something.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Obviously, Julie has my contact information, so feel free to call me or contact me if you have any questions and come up afterwards.
We'll probably be seeing you in the regional meeting before the end of the year, or?
I'm not sure how that's changing. I know I had to continue on some of the regional greenway plan.
Yeah.
So if not the end of the first year.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sir. All right, next item up is review discussion of the open space conversion for Fuller Park. A letter that Carol sent and I forwarded to you guys. Do you want to speak with me?
I can try the speaker thingy, is that what up?
Push the little button and then
All right. Wow. Hey, look at that. Okay, can everybody hear me? Super. I get to tell a story tonight, and it involves, half the story involves what was just on the screen. So you might recognize that as Coble Park, and recently the township approved a lot line change for this parcel, and that ties to what we're talking about tonight. Because back in 1980, the township received grant funding. Yes, I'm talking about 40-year-old history here. Back in 1980, the township received funding from the Department of Community Affairs through the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and that money was used to purchase one of the 2 lots that made up Coble Park. The grant documents for that money contained a clause that the municipality shall not convert the use of the property to anything other than public outdoor recreation use. 20 years later, a maintenance facility was erected to store materials within the Public Works, or for the Public Works Department, and a portion of that structure is located on the original property purchased using those Land and Water Conservation Fund monies. So, move another 18 years ahead, and DCNR conducted an inspection of that grant-funded property and notified the township last year that a portion of that original property being used for the Public Works garage was in violation of the grant agreement. So, how do we address that? How do we resolve that? Well, it's a 2-part process. First, we prepared this lot line change plan. And you can see you might be able to see there's two shaded areas. So the shaded area on the top used to be part of the, the shaded area on the top, I'll have to bring a laser pointer the next meeting, used to be part of the grant fund parcel. And the shaded area on the bottom has been added to the grant fund parcel. The shaded area on the top taken away from the grant fund parcel. So first we did a lot line change so that we eliminated any encroachment by public works facilities on the DCNR lot by changing the lot. But that isn't enough for DCNR. So they say it can't be used as replacement land because the area was already identified for public recreation. And so it didn't qualify under the guidelines for a complete swap. So to resolve this, Lower Frederick has consulted with DCNR regarding the suitability of using a portion of the open space A of the Arcadia subdivision. Kevin, do you have the other picture to put up there? Maybe a little rotate if that's possible.
You hit Control plus, that will rotate.
Control what?
Control and plus at the same time. One more time.
I don't think that should say.
Zoom in.
Oh, zooming in. How about Control Shift plus? One of those two. Yeah. Yeah.
It's progress.
I didn't know how I didn't define it. Hit it another time, just keep moving it around.
There we go, right side up now. Couple control minuses and we should be able to see the plan. Ah, beautiful. All right, we're growing with our technology. So the area shaded in green there is about 2.5 acres of open space. And we're talking about taking that, accepting that in dedication. The township would accept that dedication from the developer and then would enter that into the DCNR program as our swap land. So all this paperwork is underway and has been underway for some time. The stage we're in right now is offering opportunity to comment to the local, county, and regional planning agencies. So this same information has been sent to the County Planning Commission and to the Regional Planning Commission to offer opportunity for comment. And that's what we're here for tonight. If anybody would like to make any comment, for the record, it would go into the meeting minutes. We don't need a letter from the Planning Commission, just a record of the fact that this was discussed and any comments that were received.
I think it's a good idea, personally. It's been talked about for a while. And I think it should be resolved as painlessly as possible and move ahead with it.
So basically, we're using the area to be green as a credit toward the area that was taken up by the maintenance shed.
That's correct. It's a swap. Yeah, it's a swap.
I know we'll come up with the regional meeting and then we know Vancouver,
Okay.
so I'll probably have to explain again, right?
Talk to that.
Because they're gonna comment on it.
Everything I just said
Yeah,
is in that letter, so hopefully that will make it easy to explain.
I think it's great.
It was an easy way, an easy answer to solving the problem that came up with this.
Actually, it's a very good way because it puts some open space down into our higher density area and it's more accessible, so I see it as a real plus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's a
really
permanent
guarantees,
inclusion.
yeah, that's right, it guarantees that permanently that's exactly right. It guarantees that's permanently open space, we can't put anything on Thank you for entertaining my story. Send us back.
So, the last item that we have, official item we have tonight, is a discussion of an alternate sketch plan that we received for, Melbourne Hill. Kevin, I don't know if you have that folder that I gave you at the beginning of the meeting. No. I don't know which one that is. Do you have the folder that That's the one they gave in August. We can keep that one on the screen.
With the new one. Related to total.
Yeah, it was in that folder that I gave you.
I did, I mean, I still have, you want me to get rid of this one and put that one?
Yeah, let's start with the newer one.
Go to the Staples.
Concept, draft concept.
Can't see. I just couldn't see the way you had that column to read the whole thing. Just go back to the Windows Explorer. It's the first one. It's the top one. That's the one. That's the one.
That's it.
All right. So basically, as you guys remember, this is sort of their response to our comments back in September, right? When we looked at this. And our comments, as I remember, were try to make it more in keeping with the lay of the land, where we know where steep slopes are, or where wetness is, and I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but I'm not, in my mind, I'm not sure that was really part of their thinking in this new layout. All I can see is that they shrunk down the interior open space to give more of a setback for the houses on the road. So I think, so as I understand it, then in his colleagues are going to come to the supervisors meeting at the end of the month, their work session meeting, and show them, want to discuss this plan, as well as probably bring up the sewering options for this parcel. I think if this group has some thoughts and feelings that we want to communicate to the board, that we should probably get those out tonight. So that they,
First of all, it doesn't solve